We have an Austrian German folk horror movie that's based off a real event, and we're going to talk about it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a Shudder original film called The Devil's Bath. The directors from The Lodge and Goodnight Mommy have put out another tragic film that they so wonderfully do called The Devil's Bath. And actually, The Devil's Bath is based off a crime that committed like centuries ago about religion, about persecution, about being a female, and just in general how things went back then. So the Devil's Bath is actually a terminology. This particular movie takes place in Austria in the 18th century, but hundreds of years ago, there were women that just were tired of existing. And instead of being damned forever because of their religious beliefs, and unaliving is the ultimate sin, they decided to kill something innocent in order to get forgiveness from a priest and then still go to heaven. This is a crazy, dark story about this girl named Agnes who her whole life has just begun. She's just getting married, but soon the mundane tasks of being a housewife soon set in, and she realizes that she has no value in some way, or she can't do things right, or every time she tries to do something that makes her happy or be involved with the people that make her happy, they come at her and attack her. Really kind of soaks the viewer in this very slow burned folk horror feel that's kind of like The Witch, because The Witch kind of focuses on the real tale of witches and how that sort of comes about. So it has that kind of vibe to it, obviously in color and also not as supernatural, but it is very dark and it does not hold back from some of the more unpleasant scenes in reality. Life is pretty fucked up, and they really kind of show you that in this sort of old period piece style movie. Just forewarning, I'm not going to say like it's the most tragic thing I've ever seen, but this movie does not sugarcoat any kind of tragedy in this movie that are probably going to be upsetting for some people to see, but that's how they make these movies. They're not supposed to be happy endings. One thing I know about these directors that all of their films have in common is they like dark, bleak underbellies of society and of humanity that some may like and a lot of people might not. You know, like, it's not for everybody. One, it's a period piece. If you don't like folk horror or anything that's like set back in the day, this is probably not going to be for you. If you don't like movies like The Witch, Haggis, a Bone Woman, it definitely has a very strong vibe of that, mixed with like a little bit of The Witch and like a few other sort of folk horror, very woodsy centric kind of old school movie. Anya Plasheg is the person who performed as Agnes in this movie, and she really does a great performance in this movie. The way that she takes the viewer and the character into the depths of depression, into some pretty dark and heinous acts of humanity is pretty good. It's not a movie that I think is for me necessarily, and if I had to pick over their other movies, I would say that I probably like The Lodge and Goodnight Mommy, but this is like a different taste of their same sort of authentic blend of dark, messed up depression. It's also based off of reality because these things actually happened and occurred in real life back in the day because of the people's fear of, religious damnation. It really kind of focuses on what it's like to be a woman during that time, and there's a lot of, like I said, mirroring over the time you see nowadays in some ways. I wouldn't say it's like wholly just a female movie, but from the perspective of her and being a housewife, it really kind of pushes on that, but it's going to be for that very specific niche audience. The acting, the camera shots, it takes its time to get everywhere that it's going. It really soaks in the whole environment, the atmosphere. If there's a fire going, you're in that room, but it's a very real kind of atmosphere and not like some sort of crazy supernatural thing. It's really just watching someone devolve into their own personal madness. Severin Fiala and Veronica Franz are fantastic filmmakers. This one in particular, I would have to give probably a 7 out of 10, only on a personal level, because it just wasn't specifically for me, and I do prefer their other films, and they haven't made a bad movie yet, in my opinion, at least of the ones I've seen. Slow burn, folk horror, kind of like The Witch, mostly like Hagasa. You know, it has some familiarity to those kind of movies, but it's different than that, and it is its own thing based on something real. If you like any of that, this may be a movie for you. It's on Shudder. It's their original. I did have some issue with the video, and I did contact their support because it was weird. There was like a really kind of blocky digital dropout on the movie, but they said that they were working on it to try to fix it. I wasn't the only one that complained about it, so hopefully by the time you see it, it's gonna be fixed. But yeah, I think it's, you know, a good movie to watch. It's not a feel-good movie of the year. It's not one that I would necessarily rewatch a bunch, but I think it deserves its credit in how they kind of weave this story together, how the atmosphere feels for, you know, this like rich, dark, hyper-realistic kind of world from that period. It's a movie that's really trying to put you through the ringer, through this character's eyes, to experience the sort of depth that this character is going through. That will resonate with some people and others probably nothing. But it's more about an experience, so it's really hard for me to just say too much about this film other than what I've already said. I would love to hear what you guys think of this movie. Do you like folk horror? Do you like hyper-realistic period pieces that kind of focus on sort of like a myth, or maybe even some lore or anything like that, some things that cause people to go crazy? I would love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks for coming by, guys. I got more stuff on the way, including an interview with Rob Jabaz, so you're gonna want to stick around from that. That's from the director of The Sadness, so keep your eye out for that. Plus I got a huge, ginormous haul that you guys are gonna want to see. You're not even gonna believe it. But thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.